Hey everybody, welcome to the Bold Today Show. I'm your host, JD Houvener, owner here at Bold Patents Law Firm, also a patent attorney. And this is a live Q&A session. It's going to go for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how big our audience is. We've got a special guest today, so I'm excited to introduce him. We're also going to be answering our Avvo.com questions. So if you're visiting and looking for those Avvo answers, you may fast forward this video if you're watching afterward, but I encourage you to stick along. That will be coming up at the end of our interview. So this individual we're bringing on shortly is a guest, is a friend and colleague. He is the owner of Funding Quest, and he's going to help us answer this question about how do you get funding for your invention, for your business. And so Bryan Brewer, I'm proud and honored to have him on our show. I'm going to bring him on. So Bryan, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, good morning, JD. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a growing audience here on this live platform. Thanks for being willing to come on and join us. We are broadcasting across Facebook, YouTube, and the Periscope app. We welcome live questions about anything related to funding or patents in general while Bryan is on. So bring those questions on. Bryan, so I guess just to start, so this whole question about getting funding, right? So I mean, what is, in your mind, when you first talk with a potential client or someone you're working with, what's the most surprising thing that they find, when they speak with you about getting funded?
Oh, gee, that's a good question, JD. I think one of the responses I get most often is a surprise about how long it takes to raise funding for your business.
Okay.
A lot of folks think that this is just a short few-week process, and true, there are exceptions to that rule, but generally it takes 3 to 6 months of effort. Once you have your business at a fundable level and you've got your pitch deck and your financials and you've got all the documents, it's a sales process. You have to connect with investors, pitch them, keep connecting with them, keep running your business at the same time, and hopefully get them closed after a few months.
Got it. So it isn't just a once and done. You've got to be pretty persistent at getting to your goal, huh?
This is one of those areas where persistence really does count.
Oh, excellent. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I can mention one more thing, because investors get a lot of pitches, and they want to make sure that you're going to stick around and stick to it. And if you get the first no and then you just disappear and decide to do something else, then that's not a good sign. So they want to know that you're keeping after it, keeping after them and trying to get the traction and get more funding.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've helped a lot of our inventor clients, with taking it to that level and coaching them on what they may need to do. I think a common misconception, that I try to coach our clients on is that, money doesn't just flow to you, right? Even if you are to secure a patent. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to, be funded? I mean, if you're an individual, can an individual get funded, or must you form a company? Can you walk us through some of that?
Well, as a rule, pretty much investors want to invest in a company, not an invention or a patent.
Right.
So, if you have a patent and you don't want to form a company, then probably licensing or some other routes are open to you. But in most cases, if you've got your invention, you need to show that it's got market traction, that people will respond to it. And even if you do that on a small scale, then you're in a much better position to go after more money to grow your business, or either pursue a licensing deal. You've got some proof, some customer validation of your invention.
Got it. So really you have to have an actual entity, business entity with a plan on, hey, what are you going to do with the money if you were to get it?
Oh, yeah. So, the whole idea of a pitch deck and business plan can be quite complicated. And, that's what I help clients with.
So in your mind, if someone is sort of at that level and they're in a way ready, what is the first thing that, they need to understand about raising money?
Oh boy, there's the first thing. Well, how I would answer that is that for investors, for entrepreneurs to raise money, to be successful at it, the ones that I have seen, that close the deals are the ones who learn to think like an investor.
Like an investor.
Yeah, they want to. Yeah, if you think about it, if you're an entrepreneur trying to raise money, you're selling stock to it, or some version of that, to an investor. That's a sales process. And so you need to follow, you need to pitch your product, price it right, go out and market it and make sales pitches and close the deal. And that process it takes a while. And the ones who are successful know to want to meet the investor where they are, position your business and the information about your business in a way that makes sense to investors and shows them what they are and gives them what they're looking for.
Okay, and so what I kind of see from the title here, but I want to get to this MFC test itself. So is this sort of one of the best tools to see if you're ready as a company to look for funding?
Yes, the MFC test, I developed it several years ago.
Okay.
Some coaching group I was doing said, Brian, we want to know if our company's fundable or not. And I would keep saying, well, it all depends. And they said, oh, you can do better than that. So I went back and said, all right, here, based on years of working with investors and entrepreneurs and seeing probably thousands of pitches, I boiled it down into these 20 questions. And in 5 different areas. And the MFC test, it's at mfctest.com. It's free, there's no charge.
Right.
But you answer these questions, and it'll give you a score to let you know if you have enough of the right stuff, so that investors would be interested in your company.
Okay, I'll put the URL right there for anybody that's interested. And thanks for that like, by the way. So we got 4 live viewers on right now. We do have a minute. I'm gonna share a screen just so we can look at this website. I looked at it earlier today. So you've got a nice video up there, sort of explaining it. mfctest.com, and nice fellow here going to explain the video, the test itself. And so it looks like it's a pretty straightforward form to get started, right? Just a first name and an email.
It's very easy. You sign up with your email, and you create an account, and you take the test, and it'll show you your results, and you can, and then I'll follow up with other information, and it's a great tool for entrepreneurs to evaluate the company and know and get a sense of what they have to work on.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
It's I've divided it into these 5 basic areas: startup viability, business model, market strategy, management, and the deal.
The deal, right? Which is the
a lot of times, entrepreneurs will have one or more of these areas they'll be doing well, but they'll be deficient in one or more of the others. And the whole concept here is you have to have enough of the right stuff in each of these 5 areas to have a balanced approach, so that investors won't poke holes in your business plan.
Really cool, really cool. Thank you, Brian. So what I'll do is we'll put you backstage. The viewers here will be able to ask questions of you while we answer other questions from Avo. But thank you for your time. We'll have you back on in just about 10 minutes.
Okay. Thanks, JD.
Yep. All right. Awesome. So for those of you that have asked the Avo questions, I will share my screen here and jump to those. I've got 2, looks like, in patents, and then we'll do. I think I probably just have time to do 1 on trademarks. For those of you who don't know what Avo is, it's a website where attorneys like myself will volunteer to answer questions that are sent anonymously from around the country in relation to trademark and patent law. Those are the ones where I've been selected as an attorney to make and respond to individuals. So let's take a look at this question. This is the first one out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If I have an idea for an item, should I start by hiring an attorney? And if yes, what type? I have an idea, but I'm not sure how to proceed with it. Okay, so this is at the very beginning stages. And, if I were to maybe get a hold of this person, I would probably have them, get a little educated about the process. Okay. And that's why I wrote Bold Ideas, the Inventor's Guide to Patents, right? This book here, it's a quick 50-page read. This is going to try to get a base level understanding about what the difference is between a patent, a trademark, what's the difference between an idea and an invention. And so, an idea is wonderful, and I say this with, the greatest intent. But everyone's got an idea, okay? But is it an invention? Do you have it thought out, sketched, written, described? Are you in enough detail to be able to tell someone else how to make it and use it? Okay, and so once you get to that level, being able to describe it with that kind of detail, that's when it's time to start talking with the patent attorney, all right? And I should say, you want to keep everything you work on, if you believe it to be, new, right, novel, you want to keep it confidential. So that's the one caveat I would say is if work on it by yourself on your own, get it to that proof of concept phase, to that invention level, and from then speak with an attorney and start talking about patentability. Is this eligible and is this patentable? Okay, so thanks for your question there. All right, so one more question. I believe we had one in the patent domain on patent infringement. Let me look at this second question. This is out of Santa Barbara, California. Can a patented idea or process be used in a non-competing business? Okay, a company has patented a way to do certain task, right? So that's probably a method patent, right? And the exact task they do can be used in a completely unrelated business. For example, online news and content, because their method apparently is regarding online investments. The way to do the task most likely cannot be changed from what the online investment business has patented. As can be seen, the businesses do not compete at all. Given this, can the news business simply use the patented way to do that task? Great question. I really like this. So one thing to consider, which I believe this sort of heads toward, is I don't think you asked this question directly, but I'm gonna help you through it. The first question which you might be asking is, can I get a patent on a different application for the same method? Okay, and the answer there is maybe. Okay, it's going to depend on if you alter that application, does that change the core method structure? And then the heart of the question is that new application, right, going from online investments, which is patented, to online news and content, is that obvious? Is it obvious to those in the industries of investment or news industry to simply use that type of method for online news? If there's an obvious version, right, an obvious change or application, then it's not going to be patentable. If it's non-obvious and no one has used that method for news or content related there, it may actually be patentable. Even though it's a very similar method, it has a different function and has a different process. So you ask, the second question was, well, if you're not seeking a patent, right, the question might be, well, hey, can we perform? Can we just enter the business world and start using this method for news, right, for content and news? And as long as you're not infringing all of the elements, right, as long as you're not following all steps of that method, you're not infringing. So it's going to take a careful look in terms of what you're going to market with, how you're actually executing it, and seeing if those steps, if that method you're performing and selling is reading on the claims, right? If you're following all those elements, then you would be infringing. So it's a very careful look at their patent. So thanks for that question. That was really good. Let me jump back to our StreamYard and see if we have any live questions. I don't see any live questions right now, so I'll finish with a trademark question. I think I had a handful of trademark questions. We usually do. All right, so let's see here. This one is out of Orlando, Florida. Okay, can I use the Bitcoin symbol or the Ethereum symbol in my designs? My product will have its own official logo. I'm developing a product. I have a logo, but wanted to use the Bitcoin or Ethereum symbols in my designs. I've read Ethereum can be used as long as you attribute the Ethereum Foundation. I don't know what that means, so I've also read no. Well, I would imagine, and I have not researched this, but of course that's the big caveat, that Bitcoin, the owners or the administrators of that currency have rights over the actual symbol and perhaps even the word mark Bitcoin. And so either use of those in commerce without their permission or license from them is likely going to be not allowed, right? In other words, you're not going to be able to get away with that without infringing. And so I don't believe that's something you can do, especially if you're making a commercial use of it. There are certainly fair use arguments to using that for non-commercial or educational purposes. But if you're developing a product and you hope to use their logo or symbol, and if that's going to be helping you sell products without attribution or without permission from the underlying rights holders, that won't be impermissible. So the answer is no. Let's take one more look at a trademark question here. We have some extra time. This is out of San Diego, California. I was wondering what steps or forms I need to complete to start my clothing brand when I have the name, logo, and website. I'm planning on starting my own online clothing brand. I would like to complete documentation to prevent the logo or names and ideas from being stolen from another company. Okay, so clothing brand. It's important to understand that the online brand, you're still selling whatever goods and services you're putting out there. And so putting the documentation that the trademark office is going to want to see isn't necessarily, the types of apparel or the clothing, the articles. They want to see that you've got a tag, right? What's on the back of the shirt. That has to be the company or the brand you're looking to get registration on. So they want to make sure that it's the source of those goods and services, not at all, nothing to do with the artwork on the outside of the shirt. So I would start with making sure that you've got the proper labeling on the back of the shirt or on the actual article to identify where those goods came from, and that is what would be the substance that you'll need to provide to the trademark office when it comes time to provide evidence that you're using that mark in commerce. Certainly, if you have a website, you're going to want to clearly articulate the word or the logo on the website. You can definitely use screenshots and things like that to provide evidence to the trademark office as well. All right. Flavio, good to see you. All right. Flavio's asking Bryan, products in the retail store is not really selling perhaps, but are still on the shelves. Did they get a great wholesale price? Let's see. Flavio, could you ask? I'm not totally clear on what on that question. Bryan, I'll bring you back on. Perhaps looking at kind of the difference between, selling, planning to go to retail versus wholesale. Considerations there when it comes to, how to pitch investors. Maybe speak to that a little bit.
So I'm actually not sure I understand the question. Did they get it at a great wholesale price?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand either. Flavio, what product are you talking about?
Or clarify the question for perhaps a bit. How do we know what they got it? I don't have any way of knowing what price they got it at. So
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, very good. Well, welcome back. I wanted just to bring you back in case we had any questions, but we have 6 live viewers right now. We got 2 thumbs up. So this will be perhaps something nice for us to put onto our Facebook page. And so for those that are watching live and may have you thinking about a question but not really yet wanting to ask, you can definitely ask later, and myself and Bryan will be happy to respond to that. Bryan, are you willing to share your email address or a website for people to get a hold of you if they need to?
Yeah, if you go to my website at funding-quest.com.
Okay, yeah.
Be there. There are ways just to submit a question there.
There we go. All right, I'll put that URL in there. Excellent.
All right.
There we go. Okay, so we've got that URL. Perfect. Well, Bryan, thank you again for coming on the show and for being so generous with your MFC test. Looks like that's a very nice avenue for people just getting started to get some great information about what it means to get.
And it's free, and there are also some instructional videos on there too. So it's not just an evaluation tool. Hopefully you will learn something.
That's important too. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, Bryan.
Well, thank you, JD, and I appreciate you doing this and putting out good information about the intellectual property of the startups. It's critical information in many cases. So.
Oh, thank you. All right.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
All right.